The story of Fat Cow and Skinny Cow, treasure of Vietnamese fairy tales. At that time, during the reign of King Le, Lord Trin, there was a Confucian couple born in the Le family. On the last day of the year, we took each other back to visit our hometown in the city. After a few years of working far away, they saved a small amount of money to bring back to use as capital to live in their hometown. Through Kuat Ferry Wharf, they entered the middle of Upper Da Gia village. By here, it was late afternoon and it was drizzling with rain. Seeing that, the husband decided to stay at a roadside shop. Upper Da Gia village at that time still had a large den of thieves, specializing in robbing and killing people. Pedestrians passing through here often stay because this is the only place where there are residents, restaurants, and decent places to eat and stay. But when the guests have stayed, whoever is careful of carrying heavy bags and being lonely, at night someone will drag them up the mountain and push them down into a deep enclosed cave near Kem Drum. Then the stolen items will be divided among all the brothers in the village, depending on their merit. They keep it very secret. There are slang words that replace normal speech. For a long time, that naturally created mountain cave was like a deep well, the common grave of many innocent lives. However, on the outside, to the king and mandarins, to the people of other villages, they are still honest businessmen. When the couple entered the shopkeeper ran out to help the basket in the woman's hand. They came just in time. Today, we have good wine and good food. It's winter. After eating, we can't see people's faces clearly. The restaurant has prepared beds for them to rest. But when the flaps had just been lowered for a moment, a voice asked from the street, "Will the restaurant lend us a cow tomorrow?" "Have Fat Cow and Skinny Cow?" "Fat Cow," the shopkeeper calmly replied, and then went away to clean up. The couple climbed into bed with peace of mind, putting their arms down to rest their heads. And then they fell asleep. That night, around the second watch, a few strong guys had already sneaked into the shop. The Confucian born in the Le family was still lost in his dream. A few cups of wine mixed with anesthetics made him lose his senses. But the wife is still awake. The robbers rushed back and pressed a rag into the husband's mouth and dragged him away. The wife was about to scream when the second robber raised his shiny blade. Seeing that he was about to touch her, she knelt down and muttered, "I bite the straw and bite the grass to bow to you. Please forgive me, I will be grateful forever." The torch hit her in the face. She was young and very beautiful. The robber suddenly felt moved. He urged, "Then go. But if you are smart, keep your mouth shut. If you scream, you will die." Then, while on the road, the robber came up with a plan to have sex with that woman with very beautiful eyes. He would send her to a trusted subordinate's house, ask her to keep it a secret, and then when he returned, he would only show her the earrings to everyone. From then on, the robber often went to the residence of his new wife without concealing her wedding. Occasionally he gave her a set of soap bars or a few squares of silk. She doesn't have to worry about food or clothing, she has servants to take care of everything. But she must not step out of the room, the door must always be tightly closed. The woman had to close her eyes and obey like a soulless person. Gradually, she understood clearly how the tyrants made a living. But she still tried to swallow her tears and happily welcomed her enemy so that he could give her a little extra life. However, it only took 5 months for the robber who hid her here to be revealed. 3 days ago, the village chief whispered to him, "If you don't kill yourself immediately, there will be other people who will let you go down to the cave with that woman." The village rules are set and everyone must strictly follow them. Of course he couldn't break the village's rules. After dinner that night, he took her up the mountain. Even more than last time, this time she begged him very pitifully. But now his heart is no longer swaying. He said, "I will bless you to go down to the golden stream with your husband to have friends." When you were about to reach the mouth of the cave, the woman suddenly ran away. But he chased after him and caught him immediately. Right at the moment he pushed her into the cave, he did not expect her to cling tightly to his shirt. Both of them rolled into the abyss. Luckily, she quickly released him and clung to a tree branch sticking out halfway up. Then the woman groped very hard and finally got out of the mouth of the cave. And she kept aiming north all the way. Talking about that day, the Lord passed through Dai Hung Gate. When the midfield team had just crossed the bridge, the wife of the unfortunate scholar named Le ran from under the bridge and knelt in the middle of the main road. On her head is a white letter. Being chased away by the soldiers, she refused to back down, just fixed her white scarf and told them, "Dear uncles, I have been unfairly wronged. Please let me see your lord." Seeing a noise ahead, the Lord ordered the palanquin to stop and summoned the suffering owner to ask about the matter. After listening to the woman's story, the Lord immediately drew his sword and ordered the detective general to immediately bring 2,000 soldiers and horses to rush day and night to Da Jog Thuong with the order, "Pay first, then punish later." Then, 2 days later, there was the traditional medicine man sold medicine, carrying a heavy red bag on his shoulder as he passed the Kuat boat and entered the village. Before entering the restaurant, the customer handed over the bag to the lady and asked for wine loudly. In just a moment, the customers were drunk and could no longer hear the "fat cow and skinny cow" exchange between the shop owner and the people outside the gate. Before it was time to go to sleep, the guests were tied up, pulled off the monkey's wings and led up to the cave. But this time, just as they were about to reach the cave, a loud shout made the robbers jump. From the bushes rushed out a group of soldiers with flashing machetes to untie the guests and tie up the murderers. Then from the 4 sides of the mountain foot, the 4 sides of the village, cheers, drums, and gongs rang out from 2,000 soldiers. The next day, Da Jia Thuong village was destroyed. Houses, bamboo, and trees were all flattened. Land and fields were distributed to the whole province. Each village got a small piece of field, still called Ky Tai Field today. All of the robbers were sentenced to death. The men were all slashed at the waist, the women were left in baskets to float down the river, and the other were forced to work as maids in Mandarin houses. People found a book that recorded each year how many fat cows, how many skinny cows, how much gold and silver, how much money and valuables. Some soldiers were ordered to cut bamboo to make a ladder down to the cave and then use ropes to scoop up the remains of innocent people and burn them, according to the stories of Ninh Binh people and the Sunday Novel newspaper. Archaeology. According to Sun Ca Wa Thwat, the story is slightly different in detail. One day a son sang, and a very beautiful wife came to Da Jia village to stay at Li Trong's restaurant. Trong Li is an evil man. At night, he received orders from his accomplice to force the husband to push him into a cave and then hide his wife in a place for him to indulge in. After the revelation, he was forced by his accomplice to kill the woman. When he pushed the woman, she pulled him down into the cave and both died. The chief's wife saw that her husband did not return and regretted it, so she went to report to the mandarin. The revelation is somewhat similar to the story just told above. Thank you for joining us for today's fairy tale. We hope these stories bring joy and meaning to your day. If you love our channel, please hit the subscribe button so you won't miss any exciting tales. Wishing you a good night and sweet dreams. See you in the next story.